Yeah, hi. Yeah, you all might just hear some noise in the background because the guys are just gonna service the AC, right? If it comes, right? Would it affect? Would the light affect it? Open the door and everything. Is this okay? Is that too much of glare there? Let me know. Maybe that's turning laptop. Oh, what is? Is this better? So you only really need to see me, because it's discussion anyhow. Respond to someone. Is this okay? Can I go ahead? Hi, Karina. Is this we can go, right? All right, let's go. Right, great. Shakila. All right. Yes, Sarah. Cool. Let's go. All right. So I have your grades. I will review your grades and the second lit review, and I just need to get your grades. Can I vote? All right. So let's go. First of all, your lit review, the question was discuss the effects of the effects COVID-19 has had on the routine functioning of institutional-based clinics and the potential consequences of such. Now, guys, hi, good afternoon, Amy. Right, and let me know if it's too much of noise, right? Just give me a shout if you can't hear me properly. It's primarily hearing for this thing. All right. So again, how has COVID-19 affected um, the routine running of clinics in the hospitals? So and potential consequences of. Did I ask for solutions as well? I didn't. I did. Oh no, I didn't ask for solutions, but I have potential solutions that could have been there as well. Okay, so your institutional-based clinics would be your chronic disease clinics, diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, etc. Your post-surgical clinics, such as persons who did minor surgeries, major surgeries as well. Antenatal and postnatal, your gender-based clinics, male, female clinics, um, and pediatrics. So I just listed out for and you as well. I'm hoping that this was the approach that you took. Some of you all didn't take this approach. I saw a lot of students talking about um, maternity-based clinics. I'm guessing that's because that's what you got online. Um, but I was really hoping that you all would have had exposure to an extent to the different types of clinics from rotation. But I understand rotations only started very late. But even before I honestly thought that you all would have had an idea of all the different types of clinics that exist in a hospital setting and an institutional setting. So those are the major ones, right? So the purpose of these clinics are to monitor the progression of disease or the health status. That's the main purpose of all of these clinics, whether it be chronic disease, post-surgical, pediatrics, etc. But what happened with COVID-19 is that all of these clinics were suspended, and they were suspended for several reasons, three of which being one, to protect the healthcare workers from getting the virus from the public outside to reduce the risk. Everything was about reducing the risk. To keep healthcare workers available to fight the virus and to make sure that they are healthy to deal with whatever might be coming their way. um, to avoid transmission to incoming patients and from incoming patients to warded patients, etc. All right, and also to reduce the number of persons having to leave their homes via public transport and other means of transport to get to these clinics. So clinics were essential, and also clinics were shut down. Reprioritization of health resources, did public sector based health resources towards the combat of the novel coronavirus. Um, so as a result of that, and a result of all of the fear from the pandemic, persons were now on their own deciding to limit access to health services that they did not think the risk of transmission was worth. So even persons themselves also were withdrawing from having to go to these clinics, or even withdrawing from going and attending to some health ailment that they were not um, given real serious consideration to, because in their mind the risk of getting the virus was not worth it. So there were cardiac patients who would have had small heart attacks that they simply weren't paying attention to, and that is definitely one of the main things that was happening as a result of um, clinics being suspended and persons having to decide if it is they are going to seek healthcare assistance from their usual facilities. So, because those clinics were suspended, remember the main purpose is to monitor progression of disease or health status, to monitor. And if those clinics are not functioning, we are not monitoring these patients. And now, what we can do later on in a few years to come, or maybe even right next year, we can now have an increased burden of these ailments that are supposed to be away now having flare ups. So we might be having the coronavirus um, pandemic under control, and now we're going to have flare ups of all of these different conditions from all of these other clinics. Um, right? So problems as a result. No, I have the answer pretty structured. Um, Problems that happen as a result: worsening of the disease state, development of a disease due to lack of screening. Remember, these clinics also screen. So you have development of new disease because you're not and it gets into a stage because you didn't even get it in the first place. You didn't find it in the first place, and you have an increase in mortality from emergency medical conditions. I just spoke about things like heart attack and stroke, etc. And for us, as pharmacists, the absence of pharmacovigilance, because there are no clinics, the pharmacists and the health institutions, for those who are actively involved beyond the dispensaries and the hospitals, that can do some good interaction with their clinician, with the other clinical members of the clinical team, sorry, and there will be reduced pharmacovigilance. And some possible solutions for this would be implementation of ICT beyond telemedicine. And Dr. Maraj, he did a he did he gave a contribution to an article that was published, I believe at the University of Miami or one of those in Florida. And he mentioned about the use of ICT and telemedicine as a result of the pandemic to get these clinics done and to get them to have it restored. But we are saying that even more than that, we can be creative with our social media. We could be creative with our technology that's available to us, video calls, um, image exchanges, chats, etc. All of those things we can use to help to bridge that gap. We can also have prioritization of patients that should get home visits, right? We should be looking actively and see who absolutely need. Okay, they can't come to the clinic or they shouldn't come to the clinic, but they should be getting some home visits. That's an option. Also, utilization of all the personally trained healthcare workers to fulfill new roles. And I mentioned this in class. Now is perhaps a very good time for us as pharmacists, you guys as potential pharmacists, to be able to now use your skills to be a um, more so in the clinical decision making um, scenario. Utilize your skills of vaccinations, utilize your skills of patient assessment, utilize your skills of identifying of selecting the best drugs for the particular conditions, dealing with ailments that may not require detailed interventions. Not only pharmacists, but there will be other healthcare workers that can be retrained or can be redeployed in certain areas that can assist or give the opportunities for the nurses and for the doctors to do their real core clinical work and not perhaps be bogged down with administrative duties or other things that that other healthcare workers can assist with. Also, another solution is investing in smart devices for patient monitoring. And I don't know how many of you looked at the lecture that Dr. Maraj would have sent on the group regarding the advances in technology in healthcare. And it's big. For those of you all who did look at it, it is big. You can have mine. It is big, and it is definitely going in that direction. I spoke about it. I spoke about it with the students just now. I think artificial intelligence is where we are heading. We are going to be using artificial intelligence to help us manage our diseases better. Self care management support. We did this in class, and it's going to reduce the need all the time to have direct face to face interaction. As the patient base becomes more intelligent and we have devices that can now facilitate information transfer, we can now have better management of our conditions, better management of clinics, more efficiently run clinics. All right, so those devices are pretty important. I know some of you may be familiar with the smartwatch. There are so many other devices that that was discussed. I know how many of you looked at the video and saw the part about there was there was a chip that was going to be inserted into the person or put into the person's skin. How many of you saw that in the video? How many of you are aware that this is something that they do at times and can be done? You come, you'll give it as a blow, right? Right, okay. Okay, no, that is good. No, it's not leaking, but it's preventative. Sorry about that. All right. Any of you saw it? You all know what I'm talking about? What? Okay. What? Let's break the ice a little bit because everybody seems a little rigid right now. I know it is exam time. But what does that remind you when you hear about a chip being implanted into your body to pick up signals and send feedback? That, no, Tracy didn't see it. Yeah, that's actually part of it. But I thought some students might there's a large group of persons who are real conspiracy theorists and they fear that you're getting monitored and your freedom getting taken away and they're going to put microchips in everybody. So I thought some of you would have looked at that and might be apprehensive about it, but it is a tool that is ought to be used for greater good, right, and for better management of patients. Tracy, but the phone does which oh yeah, exactly your cell phone. When we talk about this in class, right? We could be talking about something right now, and perhaps later on when we go on Google or when we go on Facebook, um, you might see suggestions coming up based on what we spoke about, right? Because we just pick, okay, give permission to this app to access our microphone, give access to this app to access our camera. That's just the way it is, right? Because we in a technologically advanced age. So so it is a good thing. I mean, I can only see. I guess I could understand that you can look at anything and think it can be used for bad. All right, but the point is, it is meant to be used for better management of patients. Um, Another option, right, would be to partner with suitable private sector entities for sharing the responsibility of patient monitoring and patient education. Tracy, they're worried about this chip, but fighting up about TikTok, which gives up the key. Yes, Tracy, Tracy, you know the thing. You're correct. You're very correct. You're very, very correct. But TikTok is yeah, it's very. It reminds me of they say that when you go to a place and there's free Wi-Fi. Well, this was maybe about 2 years ago. Um, they're giving you free Wi-Fi, but because they want your information in return, they want to know the sites that you go on regularly, and or even when you do go on a site, what you're looking at, so that they can sell your information for marketing purposes. So yes, yes, Tracy, you're on the point there. Um, Partnering with suitable private sector entities for sharing the responsibility of patient monitoring and patient education. Patient monitoring, again, your pharmacists are well equipped and well positioned to monitor patients. There are other healthcare. You can also utilize your private sector clinics as well to do some of that monitoring. And this might also help to increase in revenue of these private sector clinics, because everybody, as we see in local parlance, everybody balling right now. All right, so that's another solution. And lastly, self management support. This is where self management support has so much um, relevance because of COVID-19. Because if we have, as I said initially, if we have a more intelligent patient population, we can now have better outcomes. All right. So that was your lit review. It's been a little while now since I corrected it, so I can't recall um, who had really, if there was any that stood out to me, but I could just give you the grade on who um, did pretty well. All right, and for your lit review, all right, so for your lit review, Shakila, take a bow. Chelsea, take a bow. Karina and Sarah, take a bow. You all did pretty good, really well in this lit review. All right. Okay. So um, I'm gonna move on to the second in course exam. Any questions on lit review before I move on? Questions, queries? All right, good. So we're gonna move on to the second in course exam. Okay, so the second in course exam. From a quality perspective, discuss the current face coverings mandate in Trinidad and Tobago and any possible solutions. So the approach that I wanted you all to take for this face covering is, of course, understanding the purpose. And the purpose of the face covering was to prevent transmission. Transmission of what? We are trying to prevent transmission of a virus that is airborne, that is aerosolized, and can not just move in a projectile manner like a droplet, but can move with some Brownian motion and move with the wind and land up inside your nose. All right? And we are dealing with a virus that has more than 60% cases, who are asymptomatic, which gives rise to stealth transmission. I might be perfectly healthy, I might have coronavirus, I am not wearing a mask or a face covering, and I come and I chat with you, and you are not wearing a mask or a face covering, and there you go. But you, however, may have, thanks, Karina, you may have some issues that coronavirus is going to thrive on. And you might end up in Cora, or you might end up in Cuba, and you might end up being one of those. You know what I'm getting at. So this mask mandate is an important. This mask discussion is an important discussion, and it's an important discussion with the purpose of really getting a handle on this transmission issue. So the face coverings ought to have been done based on science. And whilst we may be medical persons, there are persons who are specialized in material science, who are physics majors, who are persons who this is their specialty field. And they, if it is your DIN research, you would see that only certain grades or certain types or certain designs of math actually gets the job done. For example, surgical mask, the N95 mask, or a cloth mask that has three layers, one of which should be something polyester or something with a static charge. This is basic core information that should have been driving the quality standards that should have been existing. And see where we're going with this? The quality standards that ought to have been existing for the production of masks. Now, these masks here that I'm wearing, these are already surgical masks. They already have standards based on how these are created. These are non-woven because woven is like this. So, so you can actually still have spaces here, as you can see, space where the very tiny virus can pass through. So it's about design, material quality as well. And in terms of quality, there is a role for quality control, which is specifications and conformity, and there is a role for quality assurance in our current face coverings or mask mandate, as we call it. We call it the material, the filtration specs, the design, the fit, the usability of the mask. All of these things should have been in a fairly easy to understand document for the citizens, and also for our Bureau of Standards, or some international body of standards, to now be issuing advice on the type of mask and face covering that ought to be used. Now, with that in mind, with what we just said, what what do you now have, or what would be a position on a face shield? How much use would a face shield have with this coronavirus and transmission? I'm asking now, so you all could just tell me. Nobody? Okay. So a face shield, as they have been suggested, it depends on what the person is doing. If they may want to try a different one. If they're healthcare pro- if they're healthcare provider, they may want to try a different one. A different one of what, Tracy? So for healthcare providers, especially those who are in the heat, who are in the heat of it. They should wear a face shield to cover and to protect themselves from a patient that might cough and might sneeze. Some fluid might leak out and get to go towards their eye or fall into the eye or the nose. In addition to a mask, which is what happens at the hospital. But for the average Joe outside here, the average person outside here, how much would a face shield protect them if it's allowing for free flow of air through? The face shield only stops direct droplets from coming in towards them, like if they would want to. Right. Yes, Christy. So the point is that there should have been some quality control issues with the specifications and conformity being applied here, quality assurance as well, to ensure that a proper policy is now created. Continuous quality improvement could now be used to monitor and influence in creating good policy with respect to face masks and face coverings. Unfortunately, this wasn't done, and we have had so many mistakes. I remember clearly the Surgeon General of the U.S. will sent out a tweet: "Stop buying masks. They are not going to help the problem." Even right here, we had persons in authority saying, "Don't buy masks because when you buy a mask or when you wear a mask, you are now um, taking that mask away from a healthcare provider." Well, what that has done is it has allowed the public now to think that any type of face covering is good enough and um, not take their mask mandate seriously until it reached to where there's now a law to wear a mask. All right. So from a quality perspective, I was looking for you to mention things of quality control, quality assurance, um, continuous quality improvement to monitor and help to influence policy creation. And that's the direction I wanted in this question. And also um, a proper a proper education drive to the population on the proper type and the proper use of masks and the limitations of using alternatives. All right, that's where we were heading with that question. For the second question, discuss the effects which prolonged COVID-19 lockdowns has had on healthcare. And uh, on primary healthcare. Now, this was a primary healthcare question, and I was really hoping that most of you, very few of you, got this. Actually, if any at all, um, got that this was your primary healthcare question, and in your primary healthcare lecture, we spoke about factors that affect primary healthcare. Remember, primary healthcare is essentially talking about access to healthcare, community-based type healthcare, and I was hoping that some of you or most of you would have mentioned the social determinants of health and speak about it confidently. We had some students talking about job loss and income. Have to remember, income is a social determinant of health. Education is a social determinant of health, and and lifestyle practices are social determinants of health. And I was hoping that you could have made the link between having a prolonged lockdown where people are not going to work, people are forced to stay home, so they don't have income. Kids are forced to stay home, so their education is now changed from going to school and doing internet classes with their parents now being the teachers. Now we have lifestyle practices, maladaptive measures to combat the anxieties. All of this is happening in the context of a lockdown. And how is it going to affect primary healthcare and primary healthcare's mandate. These things will affect persons' access to healthcare and persons' healthcare status. So most of you went along the line of specifically looking at primary healthcare facilities and primary healthcare clinics, and that was not necessarily the direction we were heading in. This was the primary healthcare question. All right, so um, we spoke again. Well, in this one I was looking for persons recognizing that there were delays for elective surgeries, there was cancellation of clinics. All of this will happen as a result of the lockdown, of the prolonged lockdown, right? Persons would not be able to even go to their private healthcare practitioners as well. Everyone with any semblance of COVID-19 symptoms or flu-like symptoms were asked to go to the public hospitals. All right, and this definitely hindered access to healthcare, and this is where we was heading at with respect to this primary healthcare question. All right, so this one was trying to get from you to look at the social determinants of health and how the social determinants of health get affected as a result of the lockdown, specifically income, education, and lifestyle practices. Right, so that is the second in-course exam, and for the second in-course exam, we have some high performers in. Right, so Shanice, 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 Shanice was one of the persons who did well in this second in-course exam. So Shanice, take a bow, good going. And I have the complete tally now here of everyone who should be the. All right, so that's it for your lit review and your second in course. And now finally, let's take a look at your question paper, your final exam question paper. I'm not hearing nothing from you guys, you know. Nobody saying anything. Nobody making any jokes. Everybody serious. Tracy, you know, you normally like to make jokes at me. What's going on today? All right. So your it's a nice paper, nice challenging paper again. Again, I want you all to each of the question, each question has to do with a particular lecture. Hope you can identify it, and I hope you can now apply your critical thinking skills to each question. There are 5 questions, um, right? From public health all the way down to self care management. Everything here is in your exam, right? So the exam is 5 questions and then to assess all of the topics and lectures done. School has been really crazy lately. Okay. So if I'm gonna take it easy on us exams, well, let me put it this way. I do everything in my power to ensure that, but I can't give much more hints. The hints are each of the question applies to a particular lecture. One question really. Yeah, you want me to not get, you want me to lose my job? You want me to have a bad reputation? No, I can't do that. Um, what I was saying, what was I saying, what was I saying? See, Tracy, yeah, you trim off. Yes, Sarah, yeah, Karina, yeah, mm-hmm. I like that, huh? Right. Okay, good. There was something else I was going to tell you all. Complete. I had a senior moment there. I didn't get much sleep last night. Now I'm going to start correcting your farm admin papers. Okay, right. Okay, all right. Um, Gents, ladies, gents, I hope you all have a wonderful exam. I hope you all have a good Christmas time. Send it out by an email, an email by accident. I remember Shakila saying, "Sir, share the screen now and make it a mistake." I remember Shakila telling me, "I can't do those things. It'll be real chill." Yeah, I'm gonna post the grades later. I'm gonna post grades later. No one has to know. Ha ha ha. Tracy, you love to laugh, eh? I remember you were laughing at me when the rain was falling. Right, yes. I don't think I'll be having much of an active Christmas because if you think about it, I'll be correcting your papers. You would need to. Yes, Shakila, LOL. Yes, I hope you all had fun in class. It was fun for me. I always enjoyed teaching students. Again, as I said to the last class, I look forward to meeting some of you. If you do see me in the malls or see me somewhere, you ask for kicks, I give you kicks. Yes, Tracy. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Nice. So as I was saying, it was wonderful teaching you guys. I really hope that I would have introduced some concepts to you in management and institutional management and the things that public sector managers would have to look at when making decisions. And it's been great, and I look forward to seeing you all out there in the working world. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. If there's any topic you all want to have any to discuss or any questions, just let me know and we could run through it quickly. But I don't think there is any because nobody. Tracy and Kicks, Karina and Sarah want one or two questions early. All right, nothing else. I think we should be good. Let me just make sure I cover everything here with you all. We did the lit review. We did the second exam. I looked at your the final exam question paper. And I looked your grades. I told you all, well, Shanice is the only one in the second exam who did quite good. Um, and yes, right. Oh yes, this is what I was gonna say. When I'm correcting your exams, guys and gals, no questions. Tracy said. Karina says thanks. Tracy said thanks for everything and whatever. Thanks for everything and whatever. What is that? Where's that one? Um, I was saying when I'm correct, this is how I grade your papers, right? I have the answer key. I know, I'll be reviewing the answer key each time I take a break and come back. I would read your answers. I would look for the points that are present in the answer key. When I'm finished and your grades still on shaky ground, I would read it over again. And I would try my best to ensure that all students get the maximum benefit of the doubt to ensure that at the very least that everyone can pass the exam. All right. So I want you all to rest assured that I do grade as fairly as is possible and also to as clear and as transparent as is possible. All right. Good. So so long. Farewell. Enjoy the balance of your exams. Enjoy the balance of your Christmas vacation. Enjoy your rotations and learn. I am a message to the students who did well in your coursework. Please let this be a platform to do better. Please don't let it be make, please don't think that you can't, you reach and you have nowhere else to go. Yes, Sarah, bye. And the students who didn't do so well, This is all a learning process, and at the end of you graduating with your degree, and you may have just you can have gotten low grades all the time, but when you do graduate, you should now have learned so much that you are now better, right? So it's not only about grades; it's about being able to apply your and learn from your mistakes and improve and permanently improve. All right. So um, it has been a pleasure teaching you all. Some of you all write really well, and maybe I shouldn't. I don't want to call out anybody. I don't want nobody to heckle all you, but some of you all write really well, and it's an enjoyable read. And I know I see so much potential in all of you. Some of you grades would be cool though. You come back. That's what you tell me by Tracy. Um, some of you have really interesting perspectives on how you look at a question, how you answer a question, and so all of these things are good. Variety is good. All right. But remember, for the purpose of the exam, I have rubrics to follow, and I also have an answer key to follow. All right. Well, okay. All right. I'm not rushing anybody to leave, but it's almost 3. So yes, we have to go. I told you all between 2 and 3. All right, so I see you all. You all take care. Have a good evening. Bye, Tracy, Karina, everybody who was chatting with me here. Tracy, Karina, Shakila. Um, okay, I go on for real. FR is for real, right? Right. So really, Tracy was chatting away like crazy. Amy, right? Okay. So everyone who tuned in, see you all. Take care. Good luck and all the best. Grades will be posted tonight. All right. All right. Okay. Bye.